And welcome to the last meta report before Shining Revelry comes out and before Ranked comes out as well. So we're going to be taking a look at just kind of like the tournament scene, seeing what's going on here, seeing what are some of those decks that you can easily and kind of comfortably tackle this new ranked feature, and maybe you just dive into some newer decks to take on ranked, maybe toss in some of the older ones, but we'll just go through some of them, and you all let me know in the comment section what deck that you want to choose. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Ben here, and we are trying to reach 10,000 subscribers before June, and so with the subscribe and clicking the notification bell button, we can definitely make that happen. All right, y'all. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right on in. All right, sporting our first deck here from the Froggy X Fab. They went 8-0-1 here to come out on top on the Pocket Legends tournament here, and it is a Arceus, Heatran, a Greninja to judge it on deck. Maybe it's like to judge it on Arceus, which is some flavor from everything else. But the cool part about this deck is that it is running both water and fire energy, so you are able to attack with your Judge It On here, you're able to attack with your Heatran, you're able to attack with your Greninja, and you're able to attack with your Arceus. So there is an opportunity to continue to attack from all ends here, and so while they're whittling this down, you can power up a second one on the back, so once they deal, they're getting that 20 or that 40 damage, you send the other one out to knock it out for 90. Greninja's also being able to attack from there. If you have your Heatran up, that's still 110 HP, where that can serve as a tank, and then you're powering it up to be dealing 80. This is really cool. It's a lot of versatility in here. These abilities with getting the -20 from anywhere and the -20 up in the front, plus a free retreat. And there's a lot of good things that you can have with this deck, and it makes, with all these pieces together, how it can like come out on top and really surprise folks, especially if you haven't really come across this. Up next, we have another undefeated deck that's going on right now in the Earthsea Day tournament here by Bionicle Fan 27, and this is just straight up Arceus EX, Darkrai EX, Sudurgeon, and Shaman. Now this is very interesting because as I've been playing as of late, Darkrai is a really good card. It's still a very strong card with this Nightmare Aura ability. You have your Judge on here, you have the Shaman, so that way you can continuously build up that HP back, and being able to survive just even an extra turn, which is Judge It On, allows you to power up your Darkrai, allows you to power up your Arceus EX. Primarily, you're going to see what your opponent is doing, but you want to build up one of these so that way it's ready to go, and then you can start building up the other one. There's an interesting take here with Mars being in this deck, but as I asked that question before to you all, the community responded that in an open sheet list where people can see what your deck is like, there's just some kind of piece where folks have to play around the fact that you have a Mars, and so they may make plays that they not normally make if they know that you didn't have it. So in that kind of scene, that makes sense. For ranked, that's coming up where you won't know your opponent's deck. Maybe having a Sabrina here instead of a Mars, so that way you can pivot into the Nightmare Aura. Even having an additional Cyrus, because you're chipping away with the Darkrai and with the Sudurgeon anyways. So I think those are to be the additions that I would make for ranked, but for tournament, obviously they're doing really, really well. I like the fact that there's an addition of Giant Cape and blue in here. Again, all about that survivability, making sure that your front line, your Sudurgeon, stays as healthy as possible. So as we saw with those other two decks, those are in the front line right now. We saw a winner and one that is undefeated to claim that #1 spot after a day one in that tournament, and yet this Dialga EX Arceus EX build has still remained one of the most representative decks in the tournament scene. So what do we have here? Just like the normal, the Dialga, the Arceus EX, the Shaman, and Mew EX. Then you have your Professor's Research, your Giovanni, your Sabrina, your Leaf, your Cyrus, your Pokeball, Potion, Rocky Helmet, and Giant Cape. This opponent is opting, or this player, excuse me, is opting to do 2 in 1 instead of the full 2 here. Play around that. I think that works. You can go either way with this. I kind of like more giant capes for my Arceus EXs, just so that way if I'm going into another Arceus EX, they can't clear me with their own Giovanni. But that's how I kind of like see that as well. It gives more survivability for our Mew EX, and obviously our Dialga is out of range for that as well. I'm interested to see how these new cards will also like transform this deck. Like instead of playing 2 Giovannis, because you're really looking to clear out the monster are like higher than 130 HP are typically EX mons, so like in this deck it's probably most optimal to play red instead of Giovanni, because then now instead of attacking for 140 you're attacking for 150. The only deck that you're really worried about at that point then, if you are doing that replacement, is the Rampardos deck, the Rampardos Lucario deck. And so from there you can still make some choices. You're still whittling things down with the Dialga, the Rocky Helmets, so it may work out, it may not, but you know, this has been probably the most consistent deck throughout this entire Triumphant Light meta, and for good reason. Up next, we have a deck that went 9-1. That's something that's still standing strong. We got to see this a little bit last week as well too. We have an Executor Carnivine Arceus EX deck. Grass is like trying to make a comeback here. They're standing strong, but once again, like what makes a powerful grass deck is Executor EX. Now stage 1, 160, 180 at times with the giant cape, but then with the Ericas, like you're really like having to go through 210, maybe 200 and even 60 like amounts of health, and that's a lot. And for you have to do that twice is insane. Plus this allows you to build up your Arceus EX with no problem, because only 1 energy is required to be attacking for 40 or up to 80 damage per turn, while your Arceus EX is being able to attack for the ultimate force. What I love about the Carnivine piece here is that you're attacking for 1 energy for 50 once Arceus EX is out, and again, it's all about that 1 energy. There is a split here between the Cyrus and the Sabrina, and I like that because you do want to go all in on your sustain with your giant capes, with your leaves. With this being 1 energy, you can always use leaf to pivot out or to correct your Arceus EX that may have started out in the active spot. I really like how this deck is built out, and this has been one that's been a lot of fun to play. Up next, we have Gyarados EX Manaphy Origin Form Palkia. So what this is really doing is setting up where we see a Manaphy coming up on board. That's going to be your water accelerant. You're then building into your Palkia and then into your Magikarp, which you hopefully have your stage 1. We've seen this kind of deck play it with Palkia. I do like this rendition of Gyarados EX because you're not discarding 3 energy, right? Like that 140 breakpoint is 10 less from a 150. However, 140 still hits everything really across the board, and Gyarados EX has 180 HP, so it is definitely surviving an attack and clapping right back there. The beautiful part though is that you don't even have to lean on Gyarados EX to start attacking right away. With the Origin Form Palkia, you're essentially getting 3 energy, but you're getting it boosted with Manaphy or even with Misty, but for 3 energy with 60 damage, that is consistent there. But if you flip heads, and you're okay with flipping because you are a water deck and you have Misty, you can deal 120. So even hitting 60 and then hitting 120 that following turn, that's 180 across 2 turns. Not a lot of mons can survive that, so that is really good. It is really fun to see the tails. People are like, all right, we're gonna hit another tails. Then you hit the heads and then you clear out that EX, and like you still have your late game sweeper here in the back. Water always gets its boost now because of Irida, which is like insane to me. And then having the Rocky helmets here is also a great rendition. You can put that into your Manaphy to possibly discourage folks, or even putting it on your Palkia or your Gyarados, really softening up those folks for that 140 sweep attack. And speaking of Palkia, we have a Palkia EX deck in the 18 trainer version. I'm excited to see what other Mons will be using this 18 trainer style format with Shining Revelry coming out here. Maybe the Giratina EX, because it's like it's 2 turns and you're powered up. Like, maybe, we'll see. But 2 Palkias, and then the rest of it, as I said, are our trainer cards. They are running 2 Misties, 2 Iridas, 2 Cyruses, 1 Sabrina, 1 Giovanni, 1 Mars, and then you have your Rocky helmets and your Giant Cape. You don't really need 4 because you have just 2 Pokemon here. However, I like Rocky helmet here, but you're still doing chip damage with the slash. Maybe I would go like 2 and 1. I'd rather have the health here, because Dimensional Storm clears things anyways. And so using the Misties here to really just power up both of your Mons to get ready for that Dimensional Storm. The Sabrina here to like attack the one that's in the back, even because you've been chipping away with slash, and you can always bring it right back up with Cyrus. Cyrus being a 2-of in this makes a lot of sense since you're dealing 20 damage across the board or across the bench after a Dimensional Storm. But yeah, there's really not much else to like say about this deck. It's 2 Mons. They go big. You power up, swing for big, and then keep it moving. We have a Weavile and Darkrai EX deck. Our big winner from last week is still putting in work for this weekend, which is really cool to see. It still have some comparable results here in terms of like how well it's faring off. You are still essentially just running 2 Pokemon or 2 EX lines here. There's a Weavile with 2 Sneasels and your 2 Darkrai's. Weavile only needing 1 energy to attack for 30 and then essentially 70 once it starts dealing some chip damage from either its own attack or Darkrai's attack. What's notable here is that the deck list, excuse me, that is performing well is running a version of Dawn. I know last week we had talked about how like this slot was used for Mars, and that's what like kind of sparked the what's Mars really used for right now, because like statistically you're giving your opponents kind of like the same cards and not really messing up what they were trying to do, and you know, obviously there's some chances where that will happen. And I was like, I like Dawn instead, and then we took the winning list for a spin, and Dawn felt really good. And so it's great to see like that change that we made by adding in Dawn, where it just kind of felt more natural to power up your Weavile after chipping that damage from Darkrai EX made sense, and to see it put up results in a big tournament like the Earthsea Day tournament here. And so I like this call out as well. The 2 Cyruses makes a lot of sense. The 1 Sabrina to hit any healthy Mons that are hiding in the back. The Leaf here is super important, so that way your Darkrai's are just not getting a lot of damage. You really want them to be as healthy as they can be, because this is what the leaf start helps you avoid Cyruses, and running 2 EXs, you want to make sure that you can avoid that, especially since this takes 3 energy to attack. You want to make sure that you're ready to go before they start bringing you up and this thing starts taking damage. But overall, really strong deck. Darkrai is like definitely making its way back up here, and we're starting to see it being paired off with other powerful EX Mons and folks optimizing this list. And so if you're really looking for a dark type deck to run, I would definitely suggest this one. Up next, we have the Rampardos Lucario deck. This deck is going to, one, love the addition of a red, so that way your Sudowoodo is going from 20 to 50 to 70 damage to an EX, regardless of weakness, with that combination of red there. And even if it's a, whatchamafaceit, an Arceus, which we'll, like, don't know if we'll still continue to see. That's upwards for 1 energy, 90 damage. That's insane, right? If you throw out some Lucarios on there, you're dealing anywhere upwards. You could deal like at maximum with 2 Lucarios, 130 damage. Blows my mind. And now we're getting a Lucario EX as well, and so you could splash that in here. This list has done really well. We see that they've made room for a Hitmonchan as well, and so trying to think about like how can you fit a red? How can you fit a Lucario EX in here? What mons are you going to take out in order to be able to do that? It's going to be really tricky, and I'm really curious to see how that goes, because this is definitely built to counter heavy EX types. And then now that you're going to be possibly running one of your own, can you still do that? We'll see, but solid list all around. If you're tired of saying Dialga and Arceus, this is the deck for you. My friend says Galade, and I can't get that out of my head, y'all, but sorry about that. But here we have the Galade EX Hitmonlee deck. This has been sprouting now as like Hitmonlee as one of the better supporters for Galade EX. Galade here for 2 energy attacks for 70, and an additional 20 for every energy that is attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So like if they only have 2, it's 110. There's a lot of 3 energy hitters out there anyways though, but that only puts you at 130. So like in Arceus EX, if it's up front, will still hit you for 130. You hit them back. Oh, but I guess you hit them with plus 50 as well because of weakness. So I guess that clears it out. But what that all goes to say is that Hitmonlee is a great support here, because no matter what the energy is, Hitmonlee is softening up those Pokemon, and when they finally come up to the front, for Galade to be a great sweeper. You have Hitmonlee. Once Hitmonlee goes down, then they have to deal with the Marshadow, then they have to deal with the Galade EX. And that's really strong in of itself to be able to hit that one price point, 2 price points. And with the amount of damage that's being output from these 2 cool cards, Galade EX feels like a strong sweeper into everything that's happening right now. This deck is running Mars, Sabrina, Cyrus, and then you have your 2 Rocky helmets, just once again building up that residual damage so Galade EX can clean off the rest of the Pokemon pretty easily. And then last but not least, here we have Articuno EX 18 trainer. Really only difference here we're seeing is that we're running 2 Sabrinas, 2 Cyruses, 2 Iridas, so there's an additional Sabrina here, and that there's a red card instead of no Mars. That means you're allowed to play the red card while playing out one of these trainers, or one of these supporters, which can be annoying to have that also be the thing against you here as well. And we're also seeing that they're opting out for giant capes to really break away from this 140 like hit point here. Like for example, an Infernape takes this thing out, right? So like that tells you like that 140 is a great breakpoint. So using this giant cape as a measure of like being able to escape some of those like 1-hit KOs is pretty strong. So let me know, y'all, what is your favorite deck out of the meta report? What is something that you are looking forward to trying out this week? Or even better yet, what is something that you may be looking forward to taking into ranked? Definitely let me know. I think I'm gonna just like pin this comment. Are you going to use a deck from this like meta, or will you try out a new deck in ranked from the new set that is to be released? And there's literally no right or wrong answer here. I'm just very curious as to what folks would like to try to do once that comes. Or you could also even let me know, are you even going to participate in ranked and just continue to like, you know, collect packs and all those other things. But as always, y'all, it's been a pleasure. Make sure that y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell button. We'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. Until the next one, y'all, peace.